Every person is to be in subjection to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those which exist are established by God. Therefore, whoever resists authority has opposed the ordinance of God, and those who have opposed will receive condemnation upon themselves. For rulers are not a cause of fear for good behavior, but for evil. Do you want to have no fear of authority? Do what is good, and you will have praise from the same. For it is a minister of God to you for good. But if you do what is evil, be afraid, for it does not bear the sword for nothing. For it is a minister of God, an avenger who brings wrath on the one who practices evil. Therefore it is necessary to be in subjection, not only because of wrath, but also for conscience sake. For because of this also you pay taxes. For rulers are servants of God, devoting themselves to this very thing. Render to all what is due them. Taxes to whom tax is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, and honor to whom honor. That's Romans 13, 1 through 7. I'm going to be doing probably a large series of videos. I'll try to keep them short, 5 to 10 minutes, something in that range, on the role of the Christian in government. This is one of those things where we have gotten a long, long ways from the Orthodox position. And anyway, I think it's very necessary that that we visit this, that we look at what God's Word has to say. I mean, after all, this is our plumb line. This is our anchor. This is what tells us how we are to behave. And this is probably the most far-reaching passage on the way that we are supposed to interact and behave with civil government in the New Testament. So I'm going to be discussing it in the coming weeks. There's some obvious problems, even just as I read that. If you're still with me and you just went through and you just listened to me read those first 7 verses, all sorts of things popped into your head. There's all sorts of questions. It seemed to be this huge blanket statement with no exceptions, and so I'm assuming pretty strongly, because you're just like me, that as you read this, what has to be going through your mind is you have to be saying, you sort of feel like a kid in class wanting to raise your hand and say, yeah, but, and we're already thinking of scenarios as to why this blanket rule of submission can't be so. And we'll get to all of that. We'll go through all of that stuff. Today I just wanted to do an intro, nothing more than to just sort of pique your interest, and hopefully you'll sort of look for these things to come. These are all on YouTube, as you know, and I link them to Facebook. That's where most of you are seeing them, but feel free to go to my YouTube channel at any time and watch all of these. I'll just have them labeled, I don't know, the Christian and Government Part 1, Christian and Government Part 2, something like that, so that you can see them in order. But this is quite the text, quite the far-reaching text. I mean, this has implication in our thinking and in our lives in so many ways. I mean, this has implications on war and peace, military service, and drafts. One of the things you have to think of is, should we have undone the governments in Iraq and Afghanistan? If they were instituted by God, which this text says that they were. This has implications for dictators and totalitarianism, concentration camps and gulags, revolts and revolutions. The 800-pound gorilla in the room is, what about us? What about the American Revolution? This has far-reaching implications on that, and what happened those 225 years ago. This has implications on law and law enforcement, political activism and civil disobedience, and political sermons and pulpits, and tax-exempt statuses, and elections and lobbying and voting and paying taxes and emissions for your car and tabs for your car and speed limits and seat belts and stop signs and child car seats and fishing licenses and hunting licenses and parking permits and on and on and on it goes, and building permits, and we could go on and on and on. This has far-reaching intrusions into each of our lives, and so how do we deal with this text? So I will be discussing many of those things. I hope you tune in for more to come.